What should women do to balance shared financial aspirations and yet maintain individual financial autonomy within a domestic sphere, which seems like a very a difficult task for women who are
Yeah,
always sort of giving, and it doesn't automatically comes to them कि अच्छा मैं अपने लिए भी पैसा जो है वो
which
बना सकती हूँ और बचा सकती हूँ.
correct. No, I think that's a great perspective, Mukta. Essentially, because like you rightly said, sometimes thinking about yourself, irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman or a child, is looked down upon. If you're thinking about yourself, you're deemed as somebody who is selfish or is just looking inward. Whereas thinking about yourself is fundamental to creating happiness for people around you. So if you're inherently happy, that will sort of pass on to the vibes that you feel around the people that are living with you. So I think one of the challenges is, especially as women, when we become mothers, and there's a reason why I feel that God has given us, the will and the feeling to have a child. We automatically think that if that becomes our primary duty, and while that becomes our primary duty, God has given us or designed us in such a way because women are much better at multitasking than men. So let me be very honest. I think we can handle work and family and taking care of the household, looking after things that have to be planned in advance much better. I think it is just that compartmentalization that women have been doing over centuries that helps us do that. So it's a mix of both. So, for example, if a lady is taking a bit of a career break, to take care of children, I think it is equally important that the family steps in to make the child, like, your wife feel that it's not something that is going to hamper your growth in the long term. I remember when
Right.
I took my first leave without pay, and there was just this sense of feeling that I'm going to be left behind while the world is going to move ahead. And somewhere, I think, because fortunately living in a family which is fairly, predominantly forward looking, I never felt that. I think within 6 months to a year, because there was this balance to make me feel that SIPs shouldn't stop. Investments have to continue irrespective of whether you're earning or you're taking a little bit of a break. So that pause shouldn't happen. That is one. Secondly, like some of them said, things have to be simplified, which is why we came up with this concept of micro courses. It has to be in language which is dejargonized. It has to be in contextual terms, like when we said, it has to be things that we talk about, and somehow they were made to look so complicated that just from the outside, like people get scared of maths, they get scared of finance, but that shouldn't be. So I think as caregivers, it's a two-way thing. One, for us as individuals, or for all the women who are listening in and will listen in, because this will be on like YouTube, it is not bad to think about yourself. It is equally important to have self-care, to think about your future. What is it that you need? So, for example, I'm a Fauji wife. So we fortunately have the provision of pension. But I think it was around that time when I realized that no, I need to have my own NPS account. I cannot solely depend or just hope that my husband's family pension will take care of us at some point in time. But that shift doesn't happen because nobody tells us that the value of money will deflate with time. Nobody tells us. We always think, oh, it'll become 1 crore, and then 1 crore will be something that we will party around in our jets with. But that will not have the same value. The last thing that I want to add is the importance of community. When women come together and it becomes part of conversations, and just yesterday I was at this naval party where we were discussing investments, and it felt so strong for me that there was this bunch of women who were talking about, okay, did you check out this micro cap fund that has come, did you check out this? So that
Nice.
conversation, when it becomes mainstream, then the shift
True.
happens. It's always about a boys party that is happening otherwise, which is talking about money, and then you are so apprehensive to jump into that boys party because men,
Right.
even if they are wrong, are fairly confident of speaking even the wrong things, whereas women, unfortunately, sometimes get apprehensive even if they're speaking the right things. So I think it will happen more with programs like these, when more inclusion happens, when more women become mainstream. SEBI fortunately has said that 20% of all work that has to be done this financial year has to be done exclusively for women. off of that, it's important that just financial literacy is not enough. That's what I realized in my 4 years with Finlit, and even before that. You have to combine it with tools. So, like Vidhi said, that's the reason why we decided to come up with our own robo advisor, to say that you have
Right.
to provide some tools to enable that transition, because you teach them and half baked knowledge is sometimes even worse than no knowledge at all. It is might as well you go to
Right.
an advisor. So, I think just to sum it up, a blend of financial technology, financial inclusion, and community will sort of bring about that shift, and just that feeling of it's okay to spend on yourself and save for yourself.
Let me also take the last few closing comments from the rest of you. Shilpa, I may start with you. Parting thoughts.
So, parting thoughts, I think, would be to summarize what I just heard. I think, like what Neha very rightly said, financial literacy alone cannot do the job of getting more women to be financially independent and financially free. What we need to be doing is something which is also around the access to the financial services. How accessible are we making it? And by access, I also mean what Vidhi is talking about around jargon busting. I mean, if we are coming from a place where we are making it difficult for people to buy a mutual fund because of all the jargon that goes with it, then I think there's a lot of work that we need to be doing as the financial services industry to make it simpler for people and more accessible for everyone to be able to buy these mutual funds. So I think that complexity needs to be reduced, and only then can it be made more accessible. And I think there's a lot of work to be done around our beliefs and around our behaviors with money as well, is what I would say, Mukta.
Wonderful, Shilpa. Jasmine.
So, in my last TEDx talk, it was about the gender agnostic approach needs to end. Financial products, since ages, have been designed keeping men in mind. Even if we look at the mutual fund schemes today, there are no women specific mutual fund schemes as such, right? So I think there is a change required in the way the products are structured for women, keeping in mind the requirements of women, the needs of women, and these can be both emotional as well as economical as well as societal. Keeping all of those aspects in mind, I think, is the need of the hour. While that is there, I think financial literacy in our country as low as 24%. A lot of work needs to be done by all of us to bring women, especially, up the curve. Because only, I think, if we make women knowledgeable and get them started to investments and finance and introduce them to the financial world, I think the entire family is taken care of. So educating a
True.
woman becomes like educating the entire family, and I think action is most important. It's most, I think Neha and Vidhi and everybody said action is most important. While we do our financial literacy initiatives, it's also very important for us that we guide women to take action and support them in their journey for financial independence. Only then I think we can make them financially fit, financially free, and financially fearless.
Fantastic. With the closing thoughts, the investment landscape is constantly changing. What do you have to suggest to our audience?
So a lot of people say that the markets ups and downs. What should we do? Where do we invest? How do we make the right choice? So mutual funds adjust to markets ups and downs intrinsically. That's the beauty of this product. Time in the market is far more important than timing the market. Meaning that when should I invest? Should I take out my money if the market goes up and down? Should I keep switching between funds? These are all inconsequential things when you think about achieving your goal in the next 10, 20 years. Recently I attended an event where I heard Anil Singhvi say कि इंसान हो या निफ्टी अंत में जाना ऊपर ही है. So investors investors who align their long-term goals with mutual funds always make money. And as an example, Aditya Birla Flexi Cap Fund has made their investors money 6 times in 10 years and 126 times in 25 years. My suggestion to like everyone here is like navigation of investments should be done as per your goals and not market fluctuation. If your goal is achieved, take out your money. Start slow, but start. It doesn't matter, like, there's no right time, wrong time. Just start.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.